almost afternoon here, not quite. So overnight I took and looked at a few of the things to decide what to do next. And we have a few things. First of all is cutting this line, moving it down so it comes out around here, and we were going to put a via in here because we had to remove this line. But I realized that if we move the trace away from up here, then this trace can actually go here. So we'll do that. We're going to have to do a little bit of movement here in order to get this trace around here. Once we've done that, then we can connect this trace, but we also have to connect a trace from here across that one over to here, but that's not going to be a problem. We will move this up, put a via in here to blue, the back side, and bring the blue in between those and over here, so that'll be fine. Let's see what else we need. I don't remember if I did this last night or on the stream yesterday. Got these all connected up and arranged, so that moves all the air wires out of this area now. This here is just power, so I'll need a couple of vias in this area to bring 3.3 up here. So I think after that, the next thing is figuring out how to get all these traces down into this area down here. But and part of that is going to be, having gotten rid of this thing, we can come down this way on both blue and red. We'll work on that when we get there. But let's, I guess one thing at a time. Let's take these traces. That one. And that one. And we can just do that for that one. And I'm pretty sure that I cannot get that clear. Good, that's clear. So I need to move this stuff this way, and possibly need to move this via up that way. But first, let's move. Should be able to move this over there. Okay. And then I can move that down there. Can I move? Can I move that closer? Yes, cool. Then I can move that down. this down, not quite that far. Make sure that's clear. And we can move this down to there. Well, made more room than I expected to. Still need to move this though. So how far work here can I move that? Like that. Nope, that's going to be right there as close as I can get. Yes, I know you don't like the angles. What I was fussing about is I have it set to only allow 45-degree angles. So many distractions. Really need to put you in a different place for you. What I need. And yes, I know I'm mumbling some, and that's just me working. I'll try to remember to speak up, but no promise, no guarantees. If you can't hear me, you can always take and chat to me and yell at me. Okay, so now I got plenty of room to bring this. Well, maybe I do. Okay, let's start from this end then. Got plenty of room here. It's right there that's going to be the problem. No, but I'm not far enough away here. Nope. Need to bring this out one more. So you bring that out one more. And we'll bring this up one, so this is balanced. So here, that's what needs to happen. In order to do excuse me, these traces need to either, well, in order for this to work, this needs to be moved either this way or this way. Either way, the reds have to be moved. If I decide to move the front traces, the red, to the left, then I need to move this to the left, which is okay. It can be anywhere between, this is just a ground via to ground the middle pad here. So that can really go anywhere between the two outside pads here. This thing on the back side here, this is the resonator, the timing signal for the main processor. And since I want to save as much room up here as I can for more signals coming down, I'm guessing I probably want to move it to the left rather than up. And in fact, if I move it left, I will also be able to move it downward, which will allow me to bring these down, making even more room up here. So, we're going to move this just as far over here as I can get away with. Oh, duh. I actually have to move that chip because this can't come over on top of that. I knew there was something there I was missing. Unsurprisingly, that means that all of this has to move. It doesn't want to go that far over, but just to get out of the way here for the moment. Okay, how far over do we need this to go? That's not going to be enough. Move it over here, and then we can move it down here as well. And that's fine. We bring this over here to keep things neat and organized. And then we can break it and come down here like that. Then I got to okay, so that clears up all of our blue here. Now these top ones, let's get rid of that, that, and that. Let's see. that's the one that we want to, that's the one we need to bring on around, okay. So these two are going up there. These two connect to this, and that's the reset that's going around it. This one is going over that way. And the next one that's going to be interesting is this one. Okay, so that one can follow around right with the reset line. So this one can come around with this, just on the opposite side of that via here. Won't need to come all the way down here. So this one here not only has to go up here to the reset line here, but has to go over here as well. Which means since this one is going to be outside of this, somewhere we're going to need a via on this. So I guess the next one is how close can we bring this back in here? want to bring this down further to leave more room for getting these traces out. However, this electronically needs to be as close as possible to those pins. Now, moving this down a couple rows isn't going to matter, but still, I want it as close as I can get it. So, what I'm going to do, I think, now let's just move it down, and we can later come back and move it in if we want to, if we need to, if we can. One of those things. What I'm doing here is I'm just making sure I grab all the, rather than trying to adjust all these bends individually. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Move them all right along with the package itself. Make sure we're still clear. And now I should have all kinds of room. So take this. There. And then we have this one. Which wants to come out with a via somewhere. This one. And leave that there. This can come down. This will change, of course. Now, obviously, we need more room in here at some point. To put a VA in for these, but I'll worry about that later. Now I need to figure out how to get these down there. And I know I had an idea for that. I just don't know what it was now. Let's see, everything out here is clear. We got a variety of things here. Things here. rid of a few more things here. Let's see. So what I did just now is I cleared out all the wires, all the ear wires except for power. So this tells me where I need to throw some vias to make sure things get power they need. Hey Charlie, bring me some, will ya? So this, what I can see here is that because this trace comes through between them, I have no 3 volt to here. I can get 3 volts to the pin by making a trace from the on the blue side from here in here, and I don't have the other signals showing, so I don't know what else is going on here. Let's yeah, that wasn't the plan. You know what? Might be a good thing I saved a minute ago. There. Let's try not doing quite that again. was not what I had in mind. Okay, now we have all the signals in here. Now there's my 3. No. That one, that is a signal specific to that capacitor here. Let's see if I have enough room. Yep. One more down. Okay, back to the 3.3 over here. We're going to grab that via and put it in here. So you combine this on the square on the blue needs to be 3.3 along with this pad here on the red. And I'm going to put it in here where it's away from anywhere else I might want to put a trace, because it's very possible I may need to bring something through here. So I'm going to set it up here out of the way. Nope, and I need to, in that case, I need to put a box up here that needs to be out around that. And we'll need this 3 volts. And now that little short trace here disappeared. Let's see. I still need to get power to this pad in that pin. Couple ways of doing it. I have no other signal in here. I have, where does this one want to go? And what is it? URRX, that's going down here. Okay, that one and this one here. Well, okay, this one can't go to the inside anyway, so it needs to come to the outside, which means the ideal place to put a via is going to be in here. And this wants to be a 3.3. And there is no way in the world it's going to fit there. Although clear of the top part. I don't think I can squeeze between those two vias. However, let's see, that's clear of the top one. Pretty sure that isn't. Almost, but not quite. Ooh, wait a minute. Ooh, that's clear of both of them. Nope, can't do it. Actually, I could, but I don't want to do things that way. So let's bring this back down, and we're clear both. That gives me, did I name that? Yeah, that's 3.3. So that gives me do that. Now what? Well, the next thing in this area are those two that need to go down. What is this? Oh, more power that I don't have setting up yet. Okay, so if we want to, we need that one over there. We don't need all that. We want that much, and then we can come in there. Probably not necessary. Now, no more anything in here. What's this? That's ground. Okay. So somewhere here, let's find me a ground pad to grab. And since all of those pins want the ground, let's see if that'll fit in there. Nice. And see what that'll do is that fills all the area in ground, because the primary copper of this layer is ground. Just like that one there. Fortunately, this whole side of that chip is ground, so that makes things easier for me there. Otherwise, I would not have had enough space to do that. Oh, if you were paying attention yesterday and now, you may note that I did move this chip upward 2 ticks, one full grid, and it made it enough where I could fit all of my. I did have to reduce these to 10 mil diameter, but it allowed me to get them in there and get the necessary traces to the necessary pins. So once again, we're back to 3 volts. A few places that need it. And no easy way to get it there. So many traces, so little space. Well, I can get 3 volts over to the blue pad easily. That's not a problem. But to get it over to the red, it means a via somewhere. And that really means a via in the space to the right of that pin. And that means taking up space I need for, or may need for other traces. Hey Charlie, you're doing your own boards. You got any ideas? I'm open to suggestions. That goes for anyone watching this later. If you got ideas, I'm open to suggestions up until it goes to press. I suppose I should put a disclaimer in here. I'm not an expert. Everything I know on doing this has been doing by learning and watching others. I have zero training in this, other than 20 years of playing with it. But most of that 20 years was literally play and not working on real stuff. Real stuff for the last, what, 3 years, but that's still just my own hobby stuff. So, if someone out there knows more than I do, feel free to suggest. I'm open to learning. I don't see any option but to put a via out here to get these two. This one I can get from here. That's easy. I suppose I can try, but I'm pretty sure I can't fit another via in here, but I'm pretty sure I can't get this trace around it. In fact, I am sure I can't. Although, nope, because this trace is going to come across the middle there. Yeah, there's not enough. Wow, I want to say there might be enough room. There might just be enough room. One way to find out, right? Let's try it. Name this 3.3V. Yes. And then, no. Let's shrink this to 10. Let's nuke this and remake it. So we're going to go up here. Yeah, that still ain't going to work. Yep. Well, you know how I've been saying in a number of places, well, there's a way to do it, but I don't really want to. Remember how I talked about grids several episodes back? Well, we're gonna pull this little bit of trickery here. So right now, my grid is 12.5mm. With the alternate grid, which half of that, which is 6.25. We're going to break that down one more. So now the visible grid is 6.25mm with the alternate grid being half that. We're going to take advantage of that half in two ways. And, oh, let's see, maybe only one. Let's see if I can move this down here. Nope, if I do that, I'm not clear of the blue. So that's as far as I can go and clear the blue. So we need to see, with a larger grid, I couldn't move. I would have had to move this trace up there. Now, having shrunk my grid one more level, by half basically, now I can do a much finer level of tweaking. Now I still need to move this one up. I still have that clearance. But now I can get this with the larger grid like I had it a moment ago. This line would have gone up to here. That's the smallest jump I could make it. But up here, it's too close to that pad. However, now I can put it so it's right along this line, covering from that line to this line. Actually, just a hair less than that, because that's 6.25mm and the line is 6mm. And at that space, it is far enough from here and far enough from there. The reason I don't like doing this is because it takes it off of my primary grid and makes it a little harder to adjust things around it without going to the finer grid for everything. However, since everything in here I'm done with now, I shouldn't need to tweak anything else in here. I'm okay doing this in here, mostly. Still don't like it, but it's the only way this is going to work without major fuss. So we want to move that one. There we go. Let's go up there by just one. And then we come down. See if I got that far enough away, but I don't like it. So we're going to tweak this one just that hair as well. No, I'm not. What I'm doing did here is I don't like the fact that how this little bit is closer, and whoops. Come on, grab the whole thing, there we go. I can't do that. And if I bring it over here, logically and electronically this is just fine. However, if at some point I want to adjust that, I can't see. See, now I can't see where that jog is, and occasionally I'll end up with this segment and the segment over here ripped up into air wire, and not see this little tiny piece in here, and that can be various levels of irritating. So I like to take and put that little bit, that little jog out where I can see that it exists, and then then I know I have to deal with it. But at the moment, the computer says the gap is fine. I just don't like it. But I don't want to hide that jog either. We're leaving it. That'll work. There'll be a lot of tweakage later. Alright, so we've got a ground via brought in here. Up here's something else I need to change. I need to change this. And here's something I showed earlier. As is, this signal has to make a right angle, and we want to avoid that where possible. It's non-critical with anything we're doing here, but avoid where possible. So we're going to bring that down and then break this again. So we're like that. And I can bring this out a bit. There we go. Does that look like a car to anyone else? There's the body and the rear wheel, and there's the front wheel and the hood of the car. Yeah, like seeing pictures in clouds. Alright, next we need to get both of these pins connected to that. Now I'm going back to my former grid. And now we're going to put and we want to move you up there. And we're going to move you in here. We're going to move you in there. Nope, we're going to move you right back out there. We've got to name you 3.3 volts. Alrighty, so again, that making that polygon makes what's called the flood fill. So it just covers that whole area. Kind of like putting the ground in here did, except we didn't have to draw that one. It's, for me, making those small polys is easier than making the assorted traces. I mean, traces are just fine, it'll do the job just fine. But if I have to tweak something, like a good example is, you've seen me many times here on the corners, take and move the via here around on the corner to get it out of the way or make room for something or whatever. And if I had traces connecting that to the two pads of the passives that sit here and here, or traces over to the pins and such, it'd make adjusting that and tweaking that much harder, much more work. Not really harder, but a lot more work. So it's just, in many cases, when they're just short traces like that over a short space, for me, it's just easier to make a poly. And like many things on here, that's just what works best for you. Alright, so now we need to run this pad somewhere, and I can run it, in theory, I can run it over here or over there. Problem is I can't get it past this. to get over here. So I need to go hopefully that clears everything. It does. Let's see, now what? In case anyone wonders, yes, I'm afraid of this area. That's going to be a pain in the butt. Okay, so I got 2 traces here. Okay, let's get these 2 traces here. We got this one, and we got one that got to come around it. So we need a via inside of this trace. Place to put it. Wait a minute. Yeah. So we can put it there. This, get the name of that so I can name that. I'm probably going to overlap this pin. So there I can actually take and make this trace exactly how it was. That works rather nicely. And just like before, up there and name that. And in order to get a trace through here, let's see, the trace will go there. So you can put that down 1, 2, 3. This trace goes in there. And we'll figure out the rest there here in a minute. Now we need to figure out where to put that via. We want this via as far over here as we can put it to get out, to leave this area open for vertical reds if we need it. Also means I need to bring this back down here as far as I can. take care of that. I need to put another box around that. But here, that gets that via completely out of the way. On the red side, thank you very much. And what's our signal here? This is your 3TX. And it's already named. Well, that helps. Oh, I gotta name this though. That doesn't help. Copy. Paste. That works better. Okay. Uh-oh, did I stop streaming? Somebody yell if you can hear me. I think my ISP killed me again. Testing 136, hopefully, maybe, possibly. I hate it when my ISP does that. It shows I'm connected. I hope I'm connected. Otherwise I'm talking to myself, but that wouldn't be anything new. Oh! If anyone's listening, I'll be back in a moment. Something to drink. Alright, I just grabbed the glass. There we go. Still can't tell if I'm actually streaming or not here. My end says it's okay, but I'm not seeing the feed coming back. There we go. Alright, I am still live. Whether I'm alive is a whole different story, but alright, where were we? We got this one down, moved the via completely out of the way, and that lets us also move these. Giving me a lot more room. Put this thing somewhere. I think we're going to take and put this. Let's see, this one wants to go kind of like that. You want to go wherever that ends up. Except for the angle of the dangle. That's good. Now we can break this one. And we need to do a jog like that to make everything happy, and so we don't do a more than 90. Let's take and move that up there. Now we have all kinds of room for bringing red traces down into the kill box. This area. Either I'm going to kill it or it's going to kill me. Up for votes right now, I guess. Oh, I don't like what I see there. Forgot about those two blue there. Where are they going? They are going all the way down here. They go back to these two pins. The only way I can get them out could come out, I could probably maybe squeeze a couple of vias in here. That'd be some interesting work, but I could probably do it. Or I can maybe squeeze them. It'd be a tight fit, but I could squeeze them out here. That'd mean moving this, which means pushing those out, but that's doable. And I'd get them out here. Or I suppose for that matter I could push this whole bit over and via them on the inside of all these, which would be put them more where they need to be anyways. Bring them up on red. There ain't no way I'm getting them across there on red or blue. That just ain't happening. Just not happening. Oddly enough, I have not reverted to another option that's here that, again, just like the tweaking I did here, something to avoid but is an option, and at some point I'll have to. And that's, I can put small traces onto the two inner layers, which at the moment the ground layer there's nothing on there at all, and the power layer has a little bit of stuff, all of which is for the 5 volts, except maybe that. That's still 5 volts up there too. So I can put short traces in here. I just want to avoid breaking it up too much, because anytime I break it up, if for example a via over here and a via over here both, see here, all of this except for this area out here and this outlined area here and the defined traces, all of this is 3.3 volts. And you can see, so this here is connected to it, this here is connected to it, this one here is not. You can see the outline around it, so that's something else. These that don't have that dark area around them, these are 3.3 volts. They're connected to that plane. If, for example, this one and this one were both connected to the 3 volt plane here, they're unlikely to be at actually the same 3 volts, because for that 3 volt switch comes into the whole thing, probably right there is, I'd have to look at the other side. One of these 4 places is the primary 3 volt out of the regulator. Actually, I think it's that one. Doesn't matter. Because getting to this point, that should be 3.3 volts, or close to it. But because it has this obstruction, it takes its resistance getting around there. And the longer path it has to take to get from point A to point B is more resistance and more time. So if you're working with real high-speed signals, radio for example, then you want to you really want to minimize anything that's breaking up that plane, that path. In this case, we're not doing radio, not on this board. And realistically, in this case, if those two were both 3 volts, 3.3 volts, um, probably not a big deal. It might depend on what this part was. If this is just tying a diode into 3 volts, then it's not a big deal. But if this was tying into, say, a chip, then it could possibly be an issue. In the case of this board, this is not an issue, and those aren't 3.3 volts anyways. If I were to look in here and notice that something, some trace was blocking off a 3.3 volt, or if on this plane, if I notice something was blocking off a ground, so if we had that same thing across here on this thing, now we got a ground isolated out in the corner. That is not a good thing. We want to avoid that. So I can put traces on both of these layers. I just got to be careful where I put them. And the shorter they are, and like if I put one in here, that'd be okay, because I'm not putting it between two ground contact points. But if I were to put it, say right here, one through here, I'm isolating actually several, since primary ground is down here where the power supply is. I'm isolating to some extent. I mean, there's still a path, but it just have to go all the way around. So I don't want to put a trace across here on this layer. So I can use these layers. I just want to avoid that as much as possible, even more than I personally want to avoid what I did earlier by going to the finer grid up here. Yes, yeah, I answered your question, Charlie, without even seeing your comment. Instinct. I knew what you were going to say. I read your mind. You shouldn't think like that. The other thing with the middle layers is I still need vias. I still need space to put vias. And on these tight packed boards like this, that's more of a problem than putting routing the traces. Is just finding a place to put a via. So the question is how to get those traces out. Do I want to put them here and bring them down this way on red with that line and that pad? I'm going to get this out of the way while I'm thinking about it, because it's going to annoy me until I do, and I do not want that. I want that on this layer. And just making sure that is 3.3. That takes care of that, and I can actually move that in there. What is this? here, but I can't get to it to run anything, which means I'm going to need this base for a via for it, which means I'm really not going to be able to bring these out this way. Probably still could. There's always room. It's just how bad do you want it? Okay, so you've got that pad, that trace, that pad, and that trace. Oh, those two pads. Now that trace, now that pad, now that trace. Okay, we gotta find something else to do for either. No, this one can't. This one has to go here. Where does it bugger off to? That one is taking quite the path. That one is taking quite the path to get around the board. Don't even say it, Charlie. There's really no other way to get it over there either. I can't. If it only had to go over to here, I could have, can't now, routed it around here with all of these probably. But since it has to go into the middle, off the top of my head, I don't see any better way to do it. Problem here is this trace has to go down and over here somewhere. Where do you go? Where does it want to go? Oh, it wants to go down in there. Go figure. Okay. Yep. So how do I get that? Since I can't go on blue, I can't go on red. I can't even put a via through to use the interlayers. I haven't asked, and I'm not sure it would make a whole lot of difference, because of the way that the pinout on this is arranged. Almost all of the buses come from different parts of the chip. So, what's a good example? So here's the SPI 3 layer or a bus. For the SPI 3, they're all right here, and that's chip select up there. But if I go to the SPI 2 bus, we got 2 pins up here and 2 pins down here. And the SPI 1 I think is even more. Nope, SPI 1 actually is together. Seems like there was another bus that was just piece here, piece there, and because of that, it's not going to matter. There's stuff coming from all over. one of the, maybe it's one of the serial ports. What do we got? So there's UART1 next to each other. Maybe I'm wrong. There's UART2. That's the two things down here in the corner. UART3. The pins are together, but I've taken massively different routes to get to where they're going because it's used for two different things. SPI3 input is used for one thing and output is used for a different thing. Not sure which one's used for which. This is going to be the SD card, so that's going to be the TX side. The output side of the serial port is going to be writing to the SD card, and then the input comes down here to one of the headers. Maybe that's actually a serial port header. I don't know what these are. What other buses do I got? Because I know there's some stuff that's just scattered. And another reason is that it wouldn't really make a difference is, which one was it? One of the buses, actually a lot of the buses, both SPI and serial, have to go to not only one or more of the chips, but also to the headers. And so they have to go both to the outside of the board and to the inside of the board, and so it's not going to make a whole lot of difference. Could be I2C. I'm not sure. Not sure we're using I2C on here. Yep, we got one I2C. And those pins are also next to each other. In fact, that's the ones we're looking at, is the two I2C. So, given that at least the buses I've looked at do look like they are, except for the one that's two up here and two down here, are actually grouped. I'm not sure it would make any difference. Again, because those buses, I mean, whatever bus it was all right here. If I put the headers for that right here, yes, that'd be good. But it's not going to change the fact that those signals also have to go to, for example, that chip and that chip. And therefore still have to do the maze routing. External barometer? No, screw that. We got the barometer on board, dude. Right there is the barometer, right there. Hey, there's space there. Why not put it on? That way people who want to do iNav, it's all right there. All they got to do is add a GPS module. And because these are self-build, if you don't want the barometer, don't put it on there. Not having it on the board will not break the board. At least it's not supposed to. Now, if the user does something wrong, well, that's their problem. But the barometer and the compass are not required. You can leave them off if you want. And on this board, since everything is broken out onto a header, whichever SPI bus would have been used for that chip then would be available for doing something else. And I'm guessing, I haven't looked at the code, but I'm guessing Michael has this one set where it's probably everything is remappable as well. I don't know, but I'm going to guess that he does. And since every signal is broken out that can be broken out, that could make this a very flexible board. If I ever figure out how to route everything. American, Charlie, not Swiss. American. Yeah, but you can only remap ones that the firmware for that board for that target allows. So not everything can necessarily be remapped. Well, see, moving them is easy, Charlie. It's making it look nice that's hard. Okay, so we're looking at what to do with this stupid thing. Where does it want to go? It wants to go here. How do I get it here? On the blue side. Ooh. I'll bet I can bring it up through here on blue. Cut across onto red over here. And bring it right up there. That's kind of terrifying. What, did you make one that looks like Peter's boards? Okay, so how many signals max do I have up here? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at the most 5 that I can bring down through here. Alrighty. And as I said before, Charlie, it's outside of a little bit of natural talent that I seem to have. A lot of making it neat and orderly is the grid. Is picking a grid, whatever that grid may be, doesn't have to be the same as mine, but picking a grid and sticking to the grid, both for part placement and routing. It doesn't hurt if you make your own parts like I do. And many of my parts are specifically designed to, for example, like this, where these pads are specifically sized so that I know I can fit one trace between them when I lay them out like this. Likewise, I know that I can fit 2 traces through them this way. and I've designed them accordingly. Also, in some one of the most recent things I did for a lot of pads is I rounded the corners, and the reason for that is if this corner was angled, I could not put this trace here. It would conflict with that corner. But I discovered actually by accident that if I take and make my pad corners round, I can cut my turns closer to them. Very handy. So this is why I spent over the last year since I started last spring doing this. This is why I got permission from Michael and Gary to redesign redo the libraries, and why I spent probably half of the time between then and now has been spent doing the libraries. Is to make it so I can do things like this that I wouldn't have been able to with the original libraries. It's why I spent so much time tweaking and insisting that I need to take the time to do this right instead of just making something that'll work. It makes a difference. Yes, it takes time, but it makes a difference. If you get the Adafruit or Spark Fun Eagle libraries, both of them and others have notes on them that hey, we spent a lot of time making these libraries. If you use them, give us credit, or other notes to that effect. That's why, is because to make good libraries takes a lot of time. And it's also a matter of how an individual works. Um, the way I do my libraries might not work for somebody else. Um, Back to the grid thing. My grid may not work for somebody else. It's whatever works for you. There is no you must use this grid spacing or you must make your pads this shape or anything like that. I mean, if you're working for a company, they may have specifications that it should be this way. But for things like this, uh, Gary and Michael have pretty much left it to me as far as the design. Um, Michael tells me how he wants the basic layout, and I have some flexibility within that, but um, base, for the most part, I take his layout. This is how it is, and unless I have a big issue with it, I use what he gave me. He has his reasons for wanting it that way. Um, I think it was yesterday when I took and put the capacitors over here. That's where I have flexibility. I know I can do them how I need to for that. I know he put a lot of these headers. I know he put in a certain place for a certain reason. So you asked earlier how much flexibility I might be able to talk today. How much flexibility I had in moving these around. If I needed to, I'm sure he'd let me. But like I said earlier, I don't think it'd do a whole lot of good. I don't think it would change a whole lot. When I get probably when I get all this done, I'll go back through and look at things like that. I'll probably take a couple of weeks looking and tweaking things and seeing if there's things like that can be swapped up. But I won't do that until what I've done is finished, because when you're just looking at air wires like this, it's kind of hard to tell what will and won't work. That's why I think in one of my in part A and B, the day one A and B. Well, that's how they're named right now. I'm going to change the names on them. But the first two episodes of this, I talked about how I was going to need to reorder these, how they came out of the headers. The reason I haven't done that yet is because I don't know what order they're going to need to be in to make it through the rest of the maze. I could have started out with these, but they go enough different places that things change as I route. Each time I run a route, things can change as to what paths are available. That's why I try to go from outside in. Things that can route around the outside easily go around the outside. Things that are really close to each other. An example is here. I can get them out of the way. So it's kind of, I can't just take and grab a trace and route it. I mean, I could, but it's going to get really messy really quick if you do that. It's work in a given area, like I'm trying to work in this area here and get those moved out of that area towards where they need to go. I'd probably get farther if I quit talking, but part of the reason of doing this is educating those watching. So a lot of this is personal preference, is what it comes down to. It really is. It's personal preference and personal work style. Actually, these videos, strangely enough, are actually contrary to in some ways, to how I would normally work. Because frequently I'll look at this for 20 minutes, maybe run a single trace, and then I'll go do something else. And kind of let the rest of what I saw on the screen kind of simmer in the background. And then a few hours later, I'll come back here and do another trace over 20 minutes, half an hour. That's why there's you see on top of your screen, you see a red bar that says I may step away, or I may just be sitting here staring at the screen. I will spend hours sitting here staring at the screen and maybe not even moving the mouse. I've had my screen shut off while I'm sitting here staring at it. I just kind of look at it and let my brain kind of figure it out in the background. You've seen some of my 3D models that I've done of the boards. It's kind of the same with those. I'll sit with that software on the screen, looking at one of my models of one of these boards, and just kind of turning it around slowly in 3 dimensions and just kind of staring at it. I'll do that for hours, and part of it is just admiring it because it looks cool, but part of it is I will see things on that model where for a better place to put a via, or a better place to put a label, or a better place to put a whole trace that I don't see here in Eagle, because it's a different medium. It's a different way of looking at it. Here in Eagle, usually, or much of the time, you're looking at the image more or less the way I'm looking at it right now, and you are. It's actually, at least in my experience, it's not often that you're only looking at one layer. Whether it be top, bottom, or something in the middle, most of your time, in my experience, is looking at the top and bottom layer. Or if you're doing multiple layers with traces on them, then maybe you're looking at 4 or 5 different layers like this. One person who helped me a lot last spring with designing my parts and picking parts, she was working on a project. I don't know how many layers she had. It was like 8 or 10 or 12 kind of layers. It was a crap load of them. She was actually designing some sort of fancy keyboard, and just for that she had more than 8 layers. It was a lot of them. And she sent me some snapshots of the screen of the kind of things she was looking at. I'm going, okay, you do that. I'll stick with 4 layers. Alright, let's find this trace a place to go. We want to put this trace somewhere. I can make some suggestions, but try to keep this family safe here. We want that trace to come down to there without a whole lot of hassle if we can. There's no quick place to, I can't just drop it on a via anywhere in here. Can't drop it on a via in here. I can't get through this. The only place I could put that onto a via would be out here. Out here there's just no place I can go. Blue anyways. If I put it on blue, I could come theoretically, and nope, I can't come in there either. That leaves coming out around this way. This would be out on red. Is there a way to get in somewhere? Let's see, this would be out here. Well, I suppose I could bring it down here on red. Cut onto blue. If I edited that blue trace, I could go from red out here onto blue, bring blue in here, and yes, I'm talking myself through this. Bring blue in here, so this blue trace here would then be edited so it went this way. Maybe even, no, it's not going to squeeze in there, but it could squeeze up here. And put a via in here for the new blue trace coming in here, pop it back on red, and bring it into the kill zone. Where's it trying to go? It's trying to go right there. So that would need another via in this area for that trace. So, feasible. More or less. Did you follow all that? I don't see any other way to do that though. Not anything. Because I cannot come through here and there's no place to do vias. There is no way that I can see to get this pad over to this side, not without some messing with this, which I already tried once. And the only place I can go to blue is here, and I can't go anywhere from that. So it's bring red all the way around out here. Now, that said, what other traces? See, those two blues need to get vias one place or another. And the easiest way for them to come out is out here. I can, let's see, I can get one of them in here at least. I don't know if I can get two of them in here. Yeah, I can do that. So let's say we have, we have five signals up here. If we take that one and where's this one at? That's something else. I can take a via off of that over there instead of over here. You know what? This is where it'd be handy to have a layer I can do kind of scratch pad notes on. Kind of a semi-transparent overlay where I could just kind of sketch in something. Alright, don't go away. Go find some other people to bring back with you, Charlie. I'm going to take a break for a few minutes. We shall return. Let sequence finish, and we'll get back to entertaining you. Wow, that is loud. I don't know how Peter can't possibly hear that. Okay. So we are going to bring this outside. Something along those lines. Let's move this back in there. What else were we going to bring out this way? Pretty much have to bring this one out that way. We can't bring it out here. We could put a via in here and put it on blue. Let's see, we've got to get this one. We've got to put a via on it somewhere. We sneak it through here somewhere. No, there's no way we're getting anything on blue. How about red? Okay, I had something figured out. To get that one. So what we were talking about is taking this gonna need two of these, gonna need one here and one over here, and those are too close. Those need to be kneed, whatever this is. And we're going to need the relevant amount of space. And I'm guessing this one does not. And I'm going to guess that that is also done. How about the highly off chance? Ha! And that's another one I couldn't have done with square corners on those pads. Oh look, we got a new company. Who's with us? Alright, so I can leave that there. Problem is I want, no, I gotta pull this one back one. I need a couple of vias over here. I need one for that, and then I need one for I'm gonna need one for this. Before I can do that, and now let's do it this. I've got to be able to bring that out. I've got to be able to bring wait a minute. I was looking at, I thought I could bring this one. Again, I wish I had a sketch thing. Can I pull this one in here? Enough to make a red. Nope, I can't get a red on this side. That's why we didn't do that. I can get it through there, but we can't get a trace over here on the red side. I could, though. If I put a via here, I got a clear path. I don't want to put a red there because we've got other traces that have to come down. So we're back to the drawing board. As I was saying, we need to be able to pull this trace out here and this trace out here. So that is the max. Let's just check and see if I can, whoops, put that any closer. I'm guessing I cannot. Nope. So that is as close as that one can go, and therefore as close as that one can go, and therefore as close as that one can go. Is that enough to get us past? Give us a minute, we'll find a place for it. It'll fit, we'll make sure it fits. So split that, and then come down like that, and this of course can pack in there, and this can move up there, I think. I'd like it to move there, but I know that's too close. Yes, Peter. please do like it, share it, subscribe, etc. Wherever. It is fully public. That applies to all the previous ones as well. Oh good, looks like I trapped something here. How did I do that? What did I block off? That is ground. Aha! Previously, this pad was getting ground. I'm not sure how it was getting ground before, because there was... Let's see, the blue just came down here. There was nothing in here. Where was it getting ground from? But regardless, it's now complaining that it is trapped and does not have ground. We can fix this. Let's see, that was ground right there, right? Yeah, so we can take that. And there, you should be happy now, right? Thank you. Okay. So where can we tuck this one in? Close enough. Going for. This is what's coming across from that's from this. Crap. That ground messes up everything. Probably. So let's clean this up since, yeah, we're going to leave that. We go this, we want, that's on blue. And then on red, we're going to take and we can't come down because of that. So as far close as we can get is here. And here's, no, we're not worried about those, we're just worried about that VS. And we're coming down here to there. And what signal is this? So we'll do that. And we can actually slide this down here and then slide this. Looks like it would make any real difference. And it looks better up there. So we'll put it back up there. One more signal out of the way. Question becomes, do we need another one to come out here before I clean that up? What is this one? That's that one. That's the other one that we were looking at. we can either bring it out around here, and if we do that, we will have to move these red out one, but we can do that if we need to. Oh, come on, that ruins the fun, Peter. I mean, the electrons don't care if I do it at 30 degrees instead of 45. Let's see. See, the only reason I can get this one in here without moving the red is because I pushed that over to the side. I can't do that here. So in order to make room for two vias in here, I do need to push these over. But if I do this, if I bring this trace up here and around, it will be, well, I can put it on either side of this red. So it could come up under it like that, or it could come over top of it and come through here. Either way, we need a via in this neighborhood. Actually, I'm guessing that is a ground pad. Yes. And we have it, no, that is a 3. No. That was our 3.3. That is ground. It has ground at the moment. Yeah. I suspect. Okay, so it has ground via that via right there. So we don't need to worry about cutting it off on this side. Because that's what I'm probably going to end up doing, is cutting it off on this side. No, Peter, I could actually do 3060. It would be different. But it still works, 0, 30, 60, 90, and 45. So where do I give this a via? Where is least interruptive? What other signals I got? I've got these two signals got to go somewhere. Where are they going? Those two are going all the way down here. And the only way they're getting into this area is through here. Either, no, they're not going through here. It's got to be here or out here. We've only got room for two vias. I mean, we can got lots of room to push these over and make room for more vias, but I got room for 1, 2, maybe 3 signals poke through there. So we could run them all over there. Proving it can be done, Peter. Overnight, not so much, but it can be done. What was it about, Peter? Anything worth watching? Or just more politics? Well, I guess what I need to figure out here is what order these signals need to be in once they get over here. Although that's pretty variable here too. see, this one is the next one in here. Okay. So I can bring that. And then this one wants to come all the way down here. There's no way. It's politics, Peter. It's not going to be clear. You've missed all the fun, Miranda. See, this is what happens when you don't watch the streams. But they are all on my YouTube page. And at some point, when I get the titles edited and the links sorted, each of the videos will have links to all the others. Plus, there's a watch list, a playlist. Don't give him any ideas, Miranda. Yeah. Well, just tell your boss you're learning how to do more stuff. So I'm going to let this side fester in my brain for a bit. From what I hear, Cisco's got issues, but that's nothing new. Okay, this one and this one need to come out to vias somewhere, and they need to come down here. guess this is where I need to start shuffling these. So to do this, I'm going to do that. And if you've watched previous episodes, you should know why I'm doing what I'm doing here. Where in crap is that one buggering off to? No, that's one of the two. Where's the other one? That is this one. Okay. We actually want those two together down here. So you move out of the way for a minute. And we're going to put you two on the bottom here. And then actually you go there. And you go there. Nope, you want to be on the bottom, so you want to be on the top. This one actually wants to be on the very bottom. But that's okay. Now if that looks like a mess to you guys, it is at the moment. What I've done here is kind of a quick sort. I'm figuring that these two are going to come down from up here and get brought back over near the bottom here. And the third one that I brought down is actually, you know what? Maybe better if I move these up and bring these down. And two of these will be initially on red and the other on blue, so they can all come up through this one slot. That's not a problem. And then these two will come up in there, and I'll have to do some blue-red crap back here, but that's okay. We can do that. Where in crap's this one supposed to be going? That is ground. Okay, so why do I even have a trace coming out of it? Likewise for that one. So what's that? That's SPI 3. These are 3.3 volts. So I've got 4 wires from over here that all need to come into here. And that means they either need vias or we got problems here. Isn't place for vias. Should I save that? These two, I can bring it, I could theoretically at least bring vias in here. And bring them out here on red this way. Or I can bring them out here on either side of, well, basically anywhere in between things. And they come out in here. I'd have to, I could only jump one more line here easily, and we figured that was going to be this line. Have fun, Peter. But not too much. Alright, I think I need to let my brain rest. My brain isn't telling me anything new. I'm going to let it digest in the back of my mind for a while. I might come back and do some this evening. I'll post if I do. We'll see. I don't know. And likewise over the weekend, I'll probably do something, no telling when, but I'll try to post at least an hour ahead if I'm going to do something. Other than that, thanks for visiting. If you enjoyed it, give me a like, share, subscribe, all the usual things. And we'll see you again next time.